Good evening and welcome to episode 2 of reading the Vampire Diaries. Now, if you haven't already seen episode 1, then make sure to go and check that out because I read the first 4 books in the Vampire Diaries series and I share my thoughts and experiences whilst reading them. This is going to be part 2 where I read the next trilogy, which is called The Return. And these are books 5 to 7 of the book series, and there are 13 books in total that I am aiming to read throughout these videos. So this is part 2 and we will have 2 more parts left in this series. These are full spoiler videos, so I talk about my thoughts of the books as well as the TV show. I discuss both, I compare them, and we just talk all about the Vampire Diaries in general because it is a TV show that I absolutely love. I rewatch it every single year and I thought it'd be fun to read the books. Now, for a little bit of a recap, the first 4 books, so far I ended up giving them overall 3 stars. However, when comparing them to the TV show, I gave them 2 stars. I was quite shocked at how different they were to the TV show. I really thought the first few books would be much more similar to the TV show, and then maybe the later ones would change a little bit, but they were so different, from the characters to the plot to the settings, so different. My main thoughts were, firstly, hate Elena in the books. Secondly, hate Stefan in the books. Thirdly, hate the relationship between Stefan and Elena. It felt very forced. It didn't feel romantic. In the TV show, it feels a little bit more romantic. It feels a little bit more natural, but in the books, didn't like it. I also didn't like the fact that we didn't have as much Damon as I wanted, and the fact that people were just killed off and brought back. Mainly Elena, she was killed off, brought back as a vampire, then killed off again, and then brought back again. Not only that, but we had 2 big villains, Catherine and Klaus, who were both killed off, and I thought they would be there for a lot longer. I also am quite sad about the fact that the Michelson family is not in the book series. We just have Klaus, and I love the Michelson family in the TV show. Elijah is my favorite, and so I was quite sad about the fact that they're not in the books. Also, Enzo doesn't exist in the books, and he is my favorite male character from the TV show, so I was so sad when I found out that he was not in the books. So they're very different to the TV show. That being said, I am liking that we're getting to explore some other side characters. We have new characters that don't exist in the TV show. We have some other creatures or aspects of the supernatural that we also don't have in the TV show, so I'm liking that as well. So far though, I definitely prefer the TV show, but I'm still giving this a chance and I want to keep going and see what the rest of the story is like and how characters turn out. Now, I have in fact got all 3 books downloaded on my Kindle. I've essentially got a version in Kindle where it's 1 book, but it has all 3 books of the Return trilogy combined, and that's what I'm going to be making my way through. The first 4 books were quite short, so I managed to read them quite quickly, but I don't know how long each of these books are, so we'll see how long it takes. I'm hoping for a week, but it might end up being 2 weeks. We'll see. I also really enjoyed reading these on my commutes when I was reading the first few books, so I'm hoping to keep that up and get through this next trilogy. I did take a little bit of a break from reading the Vampire Diaries just because I wanted to read some other things, but I'm happy to finally be back to reading this, to keep going. Once I've completed this trilogy, I will officially be halfway through the book series, so I'm really excited to get to that point and to see if my thoughts and feelings change with my experience of the series so far. Like I said, I prefer the TV show so far, and normally I'm someone that always prefers the book, so that was quite a shock to me to actually prefer the TV show, because on top of what I've said previously, the writing style also sometimes irritates me. That was also why I had to have a little bit of a break, because the writing style just sometimes feels a little bit too juvenile, especially for characters that have existed for centuries and then they're speaking like teenagers. It just didn't feel quite right, and I think things could have been expressed in a better way. But that's enough talking. Let's get straight to it and let's continue reading the Vampire Diaries. Good afternoon. It has been about a week since I last filmed and we have some updates, okay? First and foremost, I have unfortunately decided to DNF the Vampire Diaries. Now, this isn't a soft DNF where I'm planning to pick it back up. This is a complete hard DNF of the entire series. And let me explain what's happened. So I started the first book in this trilogy, which is called Nightfall. And I thought, okay, I will give this book and this series some grace. I will try and get into the characters and into the story and hopefully get a little bit more intrigued and invested into it. However, I then found myself getting irritated with Stefan, getting irritated with Elena, getting irritated with some of the side characters, and also some very small things just started to really irritate me and frustrate me. And so every time I picked up my Kindle to read this, I first of all was having to force myself to pick up my Kindle, which for quite a while I've been really excited to read and to pick up my books and to read when I'm commuting and in the evenings, and it's been something that I look forward to pretty much every single day. And so having to force myself to pick up my Kindle was not a good sign, but I was getting irritated with a lot of things. I was getting quite frustrated and I just wasn't looking forward to reading it. And so I thought, okay, I'll give it a little bit of a pause. So I put down the book at chapter 11 in the first book of the trilogy, and I haven't picked it up since, and it's been over a week, and I'm past the point of wanting to pick it up and wanting to try again. I did try and find the audiobooks of this series, but they're not available in the UK. If I did find them, I might have given it a chance as an audiobook and tried to listen to them, and maybe I would have got a bit further in it, but they're not available in the UK. So because it's been over a week and I have not missed the series, I have not missed the books, I don't want to pick them back up, I have decided to completely DNF this series, which is so sad because I really thought I would absolutely love these books because I love the TV show. And so although I did have issues with the first 4 books, this series has just gone past the point of me caring anymore. And whilst I did like these supernatural elements that were being introduced into this trilogy, and that was intriguing me, there was just too much that was irritating me, that was frustrating me, that I was dreading reading, and too much stuff that I just didn't care about, from the characters to some of the plot, to some of the side characters, to some of the relationships or even friendships and some of the other dynamics where I just didn't care. And so I'm not going to force myself to read it. And normally I am someone that very quickly DNFs. Not quickly, but when I realize that I'm not enjoying the book, I will DNF it. And so when I got to this series, I was really trying to go against that and not DNF it because I do love the TV show and I wanted to know what the books were like. However, I've got past the point of caring what the books are like, and I'm just going to stick to the TV show because this series is awful and I would not recommend at all. I think before I would recommend it if you were curious about the TV show and kind of where they originate from, but honestly, don't do it. I found it so boring. And so what I'm going to do instead is I'm actually going to switch to my summer TBR, which I have started, but I kind of detoured away from that and started reading the Vampire Diaries instead. Now that I've DNF'd that, I'm going to get back to my summer TBR. So these are the books that are on my summer TBR. We have Lady of Embers and Lady of Starfire in the Lady of Darkness series. Then we have the next 3 books in the Red Rising series, so that will have me all caught up. Then we have Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest in the Farseer trilogy. And then I have Fallen Stars, Alice in Wonderland, and Lightwielder. And then we have the Hunger Games. Now the ones that I have read are Lady of Embers and Lady of Starfire. So I've finished that series. Overall, I think I gave that series 3.5 stars. I enjoyed aspects of it. I liked the cast of characters that we had. I liked the multiple POVs, but I really struggled with the FMC and the MMC's relationship. They really bored me, and I feel like we could have had more from other characters and other dynamics instead. I also didn't love the world building. I feel like we could have had and should have had a lot more immersive world building, but we didn't get that. So I ended up giving that series 3.5 stars, and I won't be continuing with the spin-off of those. And then I did start reading Iron Gold, but I've kind of paused it about a third of the way through, so I will hopefully get back to that soon. I have finished reading Royal Assassin. Royal Assassin, which is the second book in the Farseer trilogy. And I am currently reading Assassin's Quest, which is the 3rd book, which will complete that trilogy. Other books that I have are Lightwielder, Fallen Stars, Alice in Wonderland, and then the Hunger Games series. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to read Lightwielder, Fallen Stars, and Alice in Wonderland next. I think those are going to be my priorities, and then I can get back to the rest of my summer TBR. Those are kind of my next bookish plans because the Vampire Diaries did not go well. So yes, unfortunately, this Vampire Diaries series is not going to continue. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Vampire Diaries book series compared to the TV show, and just in general, the book series as it is. And did you enjoy it? Did you not? What are your thoughts? But thanks again for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.